I love One Piece, and I assure you this isn't just some throwaway statement, being that without any shred of doubt, it is my favorite work of fiction of all time. So when I critique One Piece, it's not because I'm trying desperately to find something wrong with it, it's more so when I see something in this series that doesn't seem right or out of place, I am inclined to call it out because I love it, and I expect better of it. But you see, I've never actually had this thought process until the recent Whole Cake Island arc. For the most part, One Piece has been the perfect show for me. I've never had any issues with a story that actually concerned me. That is, of course, until Whole Cake. And I am already well aware that the majority of you watching are probably very confused right now because I see on forums and YouTube comments people talking about how Whole Cake Island is their favorite arc since the time skip. And I see why, but I strongly disagree, and here's why. Sanji is the main character of focus this arc among the Straw Hats. Oda even stated 2016 as being the year of Sanji. Now, when I first saw this news, I was ecstatic because I am a huge Sanji fan. In fact, he's my favorite One Piece character. But even with all the hype that I felt going into this arc, it quickly dissipated as I witnessed a specific scene take place in the manga. The scene I'm talking about is Luffy versus Sanji. This scene is bad. Not as detrimental as the Naruto and Sasuke Sage of Six Paths stuff in Shippuden, but it's still awful nonetheless. Allow me to explain. Sanji's character, like most every character in One Piece, is static, meaning they mostly stay stagnant in terms of the development of their personality. Sanji has and should always be the chivalrous, suave powerhouse that he has been portrayed as since his first introduction in the Baratie. I of course do not mean to take what I say literally, as Sanji can stray away from this and still be the same Sanji. An example being when he broke down in front of Zeph before he left with Luffy. It made sense here why he would do this and didn't feel uncharacteristic of him, but the scene in Whole Cake, however, does. So first off, there's no way Sanji doesn't know that no matter what he says or does, Luffy will try and save him from being married off anyway. Sanji has seen this ordeal take place not once, but twice with Nami and Robin. Both times they tried to tell Luffy to leave or that it's impossible, but Luffy went ahead and disregarded their advice, and guess what? He ended up rescuing them both from their predicaments. Sanji has immense faith in Luffy, evident that in just a recent chapter he states that he is confident Luffy will be the victor in the battle versus Katakuri. So why even have Sanji waste the breath of telling Luffy to leave and go on without him? Like, Sanji definitely knows it's not going to happen, and I know that the main argument against what I'm saying is circumstance. The fact that Sanji had no choice but to cooperate with the Germa because they were holding Zeph hostage is obvious. And the thing is, if Sanji just went along with Luffy instead of putting on a facade, he wouldn't be the kind person that he's supposed to be due to the whole blackmail. But you know, I have a solution to this. Abolish this whole scene entirely. It doesn't do anything but hurt Sanji's character. Sanji knows that even if Luffy knew the whole situation was Zeph, he would try to find a way to save him. Luffy is selfish. This is most apparent when he frees many bloodthirsty pirates from Impel Down just to save his brother. So while the circumstances call for Sanji to act this way in this scene, it only serves the purpose of undermining his character, and would have better off been left out. And yeah, I get it, this scene was emotional and intense. I agree. But I don't think that's a good enough payoff to justify Sanji being portrayed this way. And I mean, if you also want to argue that this just displays Sanji's immense kindness because he would even assault his own captain if it meant saving Zeph, I can't really see that adding much either. We already see that side of Sanji's personality come into play when he decides to go through with the party crash operation to save his family, even though they treated him like less than human and put him in this situation in the first place, discluding Reiju, of course. Also, since when did Sanji become such a weenie? I mean, I get it, he loves girls a lot more than the average One Piece character, but come on man, this scene where he cries after learning that pudding is actually evil is just stupid. This is not Sanji. Another thing that really grinds my gears about Sanji and Whole Cake is the fact that the Straw Hats had to intervene in any way. Sanji has always been the guy who saves the day when our main characters are in a pickle. Two examples of this are in the same Enies Lobby arc, where Sanji saves Usopp from getting killed by Jabra, or when he saves all of the Straw Hats by opening the gates of justice before their departure, allowing them to escape from the Navy. I mean, Zoro said it best himself back in Zou. Sanji wasn't planning to leave the crew for good, and the Straw Hats have bigger things to worry about like Kaido. Zoro was confident that Sanji could work things out himself and come back even stronger. While I know that Luffy coming to Whole Cake to try and bring Sanji back was inevitable, I think the situation that would have complemented Sanji's character a lot more is have him somehow relay the information of Big Mom's plot to Germa, have Sanji come up with a plan to let the Germa and him escape, while on the side, Luffy tries to intervene but is stopped by Katakuri, resulting in their fight. And then, of course, having the plan not go so smoothly, leading to what is presently going on in the manga with Sanji baking the cake with pudding. This would have been way more satisfying as a Sanji fan, seeing him live up to the Year of Sanji hype and then some. This scenario would also solve two problems because instead of Luffy running from Big Mom, something he said he wouldn't do anymore when clashing with Fujitora, the situation would make it so that he could never have the chance to run from her because he'd be too busy dealing with Katakuri. I mean, if you think about it, Luffy had to run away a lot pre-time skip. Didn't he train those 2 years so he wouldn't have to run away anymore? Also, while we're on the subject of Whole Cake, and I know this is just me nitpicking, but does anyone else find Big Mom as a Yonko a little underwhelming? I mean, the Yonkos have been hyped up as the strongest pirates, period. And well, the fact that she gets weaker when something happens to the picture of Mother Caramel is kinda dumb. To me personally, Doflamingo, the previous main antagonist, felt way more intimidating than Big Mom has. But this of course is not to say someone like Doflamingo is stronger than Big Mom. No way. Of course she KOs him easy, but I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is, compared to the power hype of the other Yonkos, she falls short. I theorize that she's definitely the weakest of them, that's for sure. And this isn't me undermining Big Mom in any way. I know she's a powerhouse, but yeah, I'm just saying compared to the others, I don't really see her being a equal matchup. Also, speaking of power levels in One Piece, what's up with Sanji's power scaling since the time skip? In Fishman Island, seeing Sanji bust out some new moves like Hell's Memories and also bust out some old ones that he adopted like Skywalk was pretty rad. It wasn't until Dressrosa, though, that I started getting worried about how Oda was handling Sanji as a fighter. There is a specific scene where Doflamingo is flying toward the weaker bunch of the Straw Hats, and Sanji intercepts him in the air. And before I go any further, yes, I agree. Sanji getting destroyed here was good because of course he stands no chance. This is Doflamingo, someone that even Luffy couldn't defeat alone. But what am I looking at here? Like, tee-hee, I'm just going to throw my cape up, and I know this isn't really a solid defense, but your insane barrage of fiery kicks from hell aren't enough to even make me use Haki here. But your kicks are powerful. Not just that, though, but going back to the Sanji versus Luffy fight, Luffy had just had a 10-hour match with Cracker and was completely exhausted of Haki and stamina. Sanji goes in with Diable Jambe kicks up the ass and doesn't even knock Luffy out. Are you freaking kidding me? You guys remember back when Sanji's kicks were actually devastating? Like when the force of one of his kicks made a King Kong-sized gorilla go flying? Or when his Diable Jambe actually burned people? And a part of me doesn't want to admit it, but I honestly think this is intentional on Oda's part. I think Oda is trying to emphasize the cooking part way more than the fighting part of Sanji's character now. It is apparent more than ever that this is likely the case because now that Jinbei is confirmed a part of the Straw Hat main crew, this kicks Sanji right out of the monster trio. It's sad as a Sanji fan to think about, and I hope on everything holy that this isn't the case, and I'm just overthinking it. Just please, please give us a satisfying Sanji fight by the end of Whole Cake Island, Oda. We're close to 2018 now, but it's still technically the year of Sanji, so it's definitely a strong possibility that a good Sanji fight may come out of this. So going back to Sanji's portrayal in Whole Cake, is this the main issue I have with the arc? Yeah, a little biased, probably. Before Whole Cake, I never even thought of making up my own scenario to attempt to improve the narrative of a One Piece arc. This was alarming to me going into Whole Cake and still is. Don't get me wrong though, just because Whole Cake has some issues to me, that doesn't mean I haven't enjoyed it. It just so happens that some of these problems surfaced during it. There have still been a ton of funny, epic, and interesting moments that comprise it, making it far from bad. At the end of the day, we're talking about One Piece. I believe in Gota and hope that we can have a satisfying conclusion to this current arc. And 1 to 2 years until Wano? You guys know what that means. My body is ready for reverie. But if you say the main issue with Whole Cake is because of Sanji, then what about Horty Jones and Fishman Island? Wasn't he a crappy villain? Well, to this, I have to say, wrong. But this topic can be saved for a video I plan to make about the entirety of Fishman Island at a later date. So, stay tuned for that one. But yeah, guys, make sure to like this video if you did and subscribe if you're interested in this type of content. This is my first video, so constructive criticism is welcome. I do have some more One Piece videos planned for the near future, but this channel won't be dedicated to just One Piece. Okay, thanks for watching, bye bye.